it's very clear that Christchurch is a city in need. It's going to be a city in need for a number of more years, in fact. But there are many ways that we can all help now. And joining me are Jason Gunn and his wife Janine, who want us to adopt a Christchurch family. So before we get to your Adopt a Family initiative, which is wonderful, let's talk about what happened to you both at the time of the earthquake. Were you both in Christchurch? Were you together? Where were you?
Good morning. Good morning. Look, no, good morning. Not together. That was the scariest thing probably for us as a family, is we had children at school and Janine was here at Whitebuck. I was at Classic Hits and I was 7 floors up. And the Classic Hits studio was 7 floors up right in the middle of the city, just a block from the cathedral. And me and my co-host Dave were up there and we thought, that's it. That's honestly the end. It just tipped so much. We just thought, there's no way we're going to get out of this building. We raced down the stairwells and thought, look, are they going to collapse? Who could tell? We got out, but just that noise of people screaming and just...
I was actually here at Whitebait, and where we're standing right now, behind us you'll see some black and red ribbons. So this is where our 60-plus people all ran to, and on Tuesday we came out and stood here for our 2 minutes silence and put those Canterbury colours up there on the fence. So quite a significant spot for us.
Now, eerily, Janine, I understand that you just a day or so earlier had planned for a disaster. What had you discussed with Jason?
It was quite bizarre, but I'd sent a couple of texts a wife is what to do to a hubby.
I get a lot of those, Sarah, I'll be honest with you. I get a lot of those texts.
And in that flurry of texts on Monday at about lunchtime, one of them said, honey, when the earthquake comes, I'll go to Louis' school at Medbury, you go get the girls at St Margaret's, don't take the car, it'll be bedlam. And then... I
texted back going, is that you, Ken Ring? I said, what's going on there? I said, what are you talking about? I had no idea what she was talking about. I mean, to get a random text like that... And
so 24 hours later, I stood out here.
Yes.
And we couldn't get text through,
we stuck to the plan.
We stuck to the plan. So, and I went to Medbury and Jace went to St Margaret's.
How did your children cope?
Remarkably well. What was really, really hard, and we've talked about this with lots of mums in our community, is I turned up at Louis' school and there's other boys crying, going, can you please take me, Janine? And you can't. You have to leave them there. No, that was horrible.
That was horrible.
That was horrible. And then, but once we got Gracie from her school and then came back, we went back to Medbury actually and picked those boys up. But because the phone's down, you can't make contact.
It is that whole... Look, the last earthquake in September, obviously, we were all middle of the night, horrible, but we were all together as a family. And so that's that thing, you've got to get across town. And just to see parents running in tears to their children's schools, that's the reality, you know? Just horrible.
And Janine, obviously you're deeply affected by what you saw at the school, and we've heard this from a lot of mothers, this fact that they literally could not let their other people's children go home with parents.
Yeah, no, and I so get that, because it's a responsibility you have of taking other people's children. Hey, and so we did take a couple of kids, and it all worked out fine. I do want to say, though, that both schools we went to, stunning. Those teachers had those kids playing games. They had them smiling and laughing until basically we walked in and then we all cried. So, you know, it was the adults actually causing more stress, but the teachers at the schools were unbelievably calm because they were wondering where their families were as well.
Yeah.
I know. I mean, they're just amazing, those teachers, and, you know, helping those kids in selfless behaviour.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your selfless behaviour, your initiative. Tell me about Adopt a Family.
Well, this was an idea that we got from the last earthquake where Jason and I went into some of the harder hit areas, Bexley, and talked to the MP there, Leanne Dalzell, and basically said, what can we do? We got a couple of families anonymously and we gave them some temporary accommodation, we stored their personal effects and we helped them out. Now, they don't know who we are to this day, but we did get cards and photos of their kids passed on to us, and it was so easy. We just credited their account and they felt like we were their guardian angel, is what they said, and that it helped them get up of a day and get moving. And so we've expanded on that.
Yeah, and we didn't know them, what families either. It was anonymous to us as well, but we found out through them where the money had gone. So, you know, went to different school fees and to food and to petrol. So we thought, why can't we all enjoy this sort of love for, really, it's what it is, this loving and this looking after people, because we've always been a great believer that if we all just looked after one other person or one other family, God, this country could get its act together. Really, it's people looking after each other, really is. It's quite simple. So in this way, you can go to adoptachristchurchfamily.com.
Right.
You can go there and you can really look after a family, and it's very targeted. You'll find out where your money has gone to help that family out.
Yeah.
And you've had some incredible response, I understand, already on the website. What's the largest donation you've had?
We've received $10,000 from a donor in Auckland. It's been amazing. Queenslanders have donated money, but money as far away as New York, as Michigan, Chicago, honestly around the world. And that's what's this whole thing about being a global village, because what's happened in Bexley and Aranui and Linwood is that they don't have the resources. They haven't been able to put away for a rainy day, and the bloody rainy days come. And here it is.
And also, like, the people that they usually rely on, as in other friends or neighbours, of course.
Connections.
Yeah, their connections are, in fact, affected just as they are.
Yeah.
So they need people across the city, across the country, across the world to go, here it is.
And I think it's just so interesting that you're doing it specifically for those areas, because I was just talking with our political panel about how it is always the poor people who are most affected. They don't have a holiday home in Fairlie that they can escape to. They can't hop on a plane.
Look, that's it. And the reality is, look, Christchurch is, when I say divided, it's just so strange that, look, on one side of the town, people are saying, look, we have no water, we have no power. On the other side of town, people are saying, look, I have no sugar for my latte. Waiter, please, where is it? I mean, that's that's the irony. It's horrible irony, but that's sort of how it is.
What are the plans personally for you two and your family? Are you going to stay put in Christchurch? Are you there for the long haul?
We talk.
Janine, your thoughts?
We talk about it. Hey, I'll be honest. I feel more connected to Christchurch in this city than I ever had before. We've been lucky enough to go to other cities in the world, and I look at a place like Melbourne and Federation Square, and I look what they've built there in 5 years and how awesome it is. We can be low-rise housing. We can be eco-free housing. Say 100,000 people leave. There could be 300,000 people here. We could live a wonderful life and have a wonderful economy, and you know, and have a great standard of living. So we need to be thinking future forward. Most immediately now, though, we need to pick our people up, and we need to specifically target them with adoptachristchurchfamily.com. But we have, you know, we're a young nation. We were only to, you know, Polynesia 1,000 years ago, Cook 1769. My goodness, we're barely out of nappies as a country. You know, this is a huge event, but it's not over, you know. So I feel personally very connected. Having 4 kids, that's you know, you worry about that.
So yeah,
it is very much. You do worry about your children's future. I must admit, you know, you think about you and you think where we're at. I mean, today some figures in the paper saying it might be 15 years till the CBD is totally rebuilt. Well, I look at little Louis, who's 7 now, and I think to the man, 22. Wow, it's like, but we can still give him a great life in the rest of Canterbury. It's, you know, I mean, there's going to be, he's going to know a different Christchurch than the Christchurch that I grew up in, and that's a little sad. But you know what? I mean, we can still make a great city.
Let's talk about your children.
It's flight or fight,
Yeah.
It's flight or fight, and we're fighters, but that's not saying we might be flighters.
Yes. Oh, occasionally. I think there'll be flight involved. There will be flight involved occasionally, yes.
So let's talk about New York. Let's talk about the children. How have you discussed...
Hurry up, Sarah, the plane's leaving shortly. Joking.
How have you discussed the earthquake with them? How are you dealing with how they're coping?
I think better. I think they're a bit better this time. I mean, last time was like they had, what the hell is going? We don't get earthquakes. Now it's like, oh, we get, of course we get earthquakes. I mean, that's the reality. The difference is, the thing is, though, again, what just frightened them. We've had probably 4,000 aftershocks from that first one in September. You kind of start believing that sort of like, you almost get a bit cocky with it. You know, we were getting 3.5s going, oh, please, is that all you've got?
Farts, as Nigel Latta would say.
Nigel Latta says, Mother Nature has a bit of wind. You know, she's got to get rid of that wind. All of a sudden, this happens last week, and you go back not even to square one, almost worse than that, because you start, and what it does, it affects the way we look forward now, because we kind of thought it was a bit all over last time, and so now we go, right, and I think that's what our kids struggle with a bit is, Mum, Dad, when is it going to stop?
Yes.
And it's like, it's hard because you can't say when.
We're ages and stages. So our 7-year-old, it's all about, he was at school with mates. He's now spending a lot of time out in the community playing with his mates, and he's really positive and good. Our 12-year-old, her wonderful teacher, has set up school in her living room, so she's off from 9 to 3, a place to go with her friends, and knitting and doing a bit of maths. And our teenager, I probably, to be honest, worry about her the most. I think teenagers see future, they see how vulnerable we are and the world is, and I think it's hard for that age group. But yeah, they're all coping so well,
Well, it's obvious you are supporting them through this, and wonderful to hear you're supporting those poorer Christchurch families as well. So great initiative. I do encourage everyone to get onto that website and donate as much as they can. Thank you so much, Janine and Jason, for joining me today.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.